Straight ahead on CCX News, a referendum on renovating schools. We'll look at building plans in the Anoka-Hennepin district. Plus, in Maple Grove,
everybody has something that they wonder about.
Finding out the value of a treasure in your attic. And later, arrested, booked, and urged to pay up. And these people in Crystal didn't seem to mind. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We'll have those stories in a moment. But first, at the state capitol, a Maple Grove lawmaker is part of a compromise on Real ID now headed for a vote.
The compromise would ensure that Minnesotans won't have to get a passport to board domestic flights. Joining us now with more on the deal is reporter Delane Cleveland.
Mike and Alex, Minnesota lawmakers have been debating for years about whether to upgrade driver's licenses and ID cards to meet federal security standards. But today, both Republicans and Democrats are saying that they've finally come to an agreement.
So it's great to have this resolved today so Minnesotans don't need to worry about air travel anymore.
Minnesota is the last state to implement Real ID, which contains more information than what you'd find in your standard driver's license. Minnesota lawmakers have disagreed over privacy concerns and about whether undocumented immigrants should be eligible to receive driver's licenses. With the January 2018 deadline approaching, lawmakers decided to shift the debate about undocumented immigrants to a separate bill, which allowed the Real ID bill to move forward.
It's been my position and the position of the Speaker of the House that is a separate issue. The complex immigration policy should be decided by a separate bill. The legislature should weigh in on it in this body and the lower chamber down the hall, and the governor can choose to sign that if the governor chooses. However, that should not be a part of Real ID.
Representative Smith says that if the legislature passes the bill, it will include an extension from the Department of Homeland Security that will give Minnesota until the fall of 2020 to implement Real ID. That ID will give Minnesotans the ability to fly, gain access to federal buildings, and military facilities. And Mike and Alex, Minnesotans should be eligible to get their Real ID in the fall of 2018.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, Delane.
Brooklyn Park must decide whether it wants to reinvest in a facility that helps families on the edge of homelessness. Since 1997, the city has owned this fourplex that has served more than 40 families in need. But now it needs $240,000 in renovations. Some city council members question whether the city should be operating the program. However, Mayor Lundy says the city has grants to help cover most of the cost.
I think that people lost track of what happens inside that house. You know, the families that need that help. And so I think we need to take a look at that again. So. And, you know, I look at the costs. I keep going back to that number, $10,000 a year. That's what the real cost is over a 20-year cycle.
I love the program here. I just think that there are a lot of nonprofits and private owners who can purchase this property and still do the same work on this property.
The issue is tabled but comes back for a vote in June. The Anoka-Hennepin School District wants more funding to address facility issues.
The district board says a referendum in November is necessary as they plan for the future. We get more from Eric Nelson, who joins us now. Eric?
Yeah, Alex and Mike, simply put, this is a growth and space issue. The Anoka-Hennepin district continues to grow, but some of the schools don't have enough space to accommodate more students. The Fit for the Future Facility Task Force hopes voters will approve more funds this fall. Tonight, the district holds the first of 5 presentations on facility upgrades at Champlin Park High School.
Our schools are 49, they average 49 years old. Champlin Park High School just had its 25th anniversary. That's one of our newer schools. So there's a lot of need for upgrading the schools, but the focus again is deal with growth, deal with the portable classrooms that aren't safe, they're not as secure.
There are 62 portable classrooms in the district, including many at Champlin Park High School and Champlin Brooklyn Park Academy. These pods are outdated, and the district says there are a variety of safety concerns. Anoka-Hennepin wants to replace the pods at both schools by adding newer and more up-to-date buildings on the current sites.
They're just not good learning spaces. Kids are going outside 10 below zero and the doors are left open all the time. We can't really secure them. So there's a lot of issues with them.
Now, another concern the district has are the libraries at most of its schools. They were built to check out books some 4 decades ago. Now kids are bringing in iPads and tablets looking for places to plug in. Alex and Mike?
All right, Eric Nelson reporting. Thanks a lot. The Super Bowl is still 9 months away, but officials are already making security plans.
Minneapolis is asking for help from all local law enforcement officers across the state, and Sonia Goen shows us how Crystal Police are assisting.
This is something that Minneapolis can't do alone, and they've been very clear about that.
Super Bowl 52 at U.S. Bank Stadium. It's a pretty big deal, especially since it's been 26 years since Minnesota hosted the big game. About 1 million people are expected to come for the football festivities. Keeping those folks safe is a top priority.
For the Super Bowl, we've been asked by the city of Minneapolis to help with safety and security.
Because of security reasons, Police Chief Stephanie Reverend can't go into much details, but she did say 2 to 4 Crystal police officers will help provide security.
We're not sending anybody, though, that's on duty. So these will all be on overtime basis. So nobody will be leaving the city that's actually working on patrol during those shifts.
Chief Reverend says she's glad to assist, but she wants to keep her officers out of harm's way.
Making sure that our officers are safe because they're going into an unknown situation, unknown city, that to see if they would allow them to do, maybe a parking detail or a traffic control detail.
With a lot of fans coming to Minneapolis and surrounding suburbs, Crystal is also beefing up patrols in the city during Super Bowl week.
The impact of just having more and more people come through and travel through the city of Crystal will definitely see, I would think, a higher volume of calls for service.
Crystal officials say this is the time to shine and show off the very best of Minnesota.
It's actually pretty cool, in my opinion, to have this come to our state.
In Crystal, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
The NFL will pick up the tab for police overtime costs.
In Plymouth, the city's planning commission will get its first look at a plan to bring a Chick-fil-A restaurant to the city. Chick-fil-A would replace the former Ruby Tuesdays restaurant on Vicksburg Lane. The Atlanta-based chain would tear down the old restaurant and put up a new building. The plans could come, however, with opposition. The Chick-fil-A plans call for a drive-through, which is inconsistent with the city center vision for that area, which has been trying to make it more pedestrian-friendly. Still ahead on CCX News, is it trash or a treasure? We'll get an appraiser's perspective on old family heirlooms.
Plus a recap of the Lake Conference Track and Field Championships. That's coming up later in sports.
But first, the showers taper on Thursday as a cool front rolls in. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A Maple Grove student is doing her best to save the sounds. Megan Goshen enjoys playing in band, whether it's marching band, jazz, or the Crimson Winds. She hopes others who may not have the same opportunities as herself will enjoy it too. It's why she's collecting used instruments for students in need.
The goal for the instruments that I want to collect is I want to collect a lot of instruments that maybe kids aren't going on in band anymore or orchestra and they aren't using it, or maybe their parents have an instrument that's just been sitting in the closet. So I'm going to.
Megan is collecting instruments at year-end concerts. She plans to work with band teachers to help her get the instruments fixed up and then distribute them. The project will help her earn a Girl Scout Gold Award. If you have ever wondered if that family heirloom is worth cash or if it's just clutter, here's a story for you.
Yeah, people in Maple Grove got a lesson in value this week when an appraiser came to visit the library. Reporter Shannon Slatton explains what you need to know about the value of your heirloom in today's Money Savers Report.
It's wonderful. The signatures are quite faded.
A football signed by the 1967 Green Bay Packers.
Phil Bankston is right there.
The ball usually sits on Jim Ryan's shelf, but he brought it to appraiser and author Mark Moran this week at the Maple Grove Library to see just what it was worth.
I was kind of prepared for anything.
The ball has some scuffs and is faded, but it's real and has value.
$1,500 is what I'm thinking.
This football is one of many treasures that people brought to the library for Mark to take a look at.
When I walk into a room, there's a mystery there. There are mysteries that I don't know anything about.
If you have a treasured item at home and you want to know the value, Mark says information information is power.
Don't throw anything away until you do a little research, whether it's on the internet or networking with someone in the trade.
Then condition counts and scarcity matters too.
It's hard to say, exactly what an item is worth until you're in its presence and holding it and able to view it up close.
Bringing your item to an event like this could be the most cost-effective way to find out what your item could be worth.
We have the Knave of Hearts, and in 2012, this book sold at auction for $400, $10 at most.
His advice when it comes to antiques: collect what you love, because most often the best value of a treasure is in the heart of its owner.
Most categories of antiques and collectibles have declined in value in the last 20 or 30 years. So that's why it's even more important to only collect or to acquire or learn about things that you enjoy and that enhance your life.
For Money Savers, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
Hello.
Hello.
Mark Moran travels all over the Midwest giving appraisals and talking antiques, and we've put a link on our website to his schedule so you can catch up with him at a later date. And so pull that stuff out of the garage, see what it's worth.
Who knew?
Up next, arrests in Crystal, and the alleged perpetrators didn't seem to mind.
But first, the Champlin Park baseball team fights to stay atop the conference standings. John Jacobson has highlights from their latest game coming up next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. We're down to the big meets remaining for local high school track and field teams. With the True Team State meet later this week, it meant some teams didn't have their top lineups in place for the Lake Conference Championships hosted by Wayzata. To the highlights. In the boys' 1,600-meter run, Minnetonka's Matthew Wilkinson holds on for the win. About 3 seconds back, Wayzata's Mitch Tollander is second as the Trojans take the 2, 3, and 4 spots. In the girls' 4x100 relay, it's Edina powering to the win. Hopkins edges out Wayzata for second place. In the boys' 4x100, Minnetonka races to the victory. Anchor Joel Fanbula and Hopkins take second. It's a close battle down the stretch in the girls' 400 meters. Natalie Jacobwith of Eden Prairie has just enough to edge Lucy Avenson of Hopkins by 0.6 of a second. In the boys' 800 meters, Seth Eliason of Hopkins rolls to the win in a time of 1 minute 54.45 seconds. A few seconds back, it's Frank Fetro of Wayzata running second. To the field events in the girls' high jump, Olivia Roberts clears 5 feet 2 inches here. She later goes 5.4 and takes first place for the Trojans. In the boys' triple jump, Fanbula of Hopkins has the best leap of 41 feet 3/4 inches to place second in the event. Madeline Tapper of Wayzata saves her best for last in the long jump, going 16.9 1/4 and takes second place. We check the team scores. Minnetonka takes the girls' title well ahead of Edina. Eden Prairie is third, followed by Wayzata and Hopkins. Minnetonka also takes the boys' team championship with Hopkins second and Wayzata third. Edina and Eden Prairie are 4-5. The state True Team meet for Class 3A is Friday at Stillwater High School. The Champlin Park baseball team is starting to build momentum toward the postseason as the team tries to reach the state tournament again this year. Rebels were swinging for their 5th straight win as they took on Andover at home under the lights. Bottom of the 3rd inning, bases loaded for Champlin Park. Joey Simon with the base hit, scoring Cole Albers and Zach Loven for a 4-0 Rebels lead. In the bottom of the 6th, Champlin Park pushes across 3 more runs. Sacrifice fly here to left field, but Loven brings home Trey Carlson with a run. The Rebels go on to win this game. 8-1 is the final. Also in the Northwest Suburban Conference, the Totino-Grace Eagles were looking to get closer to 500 record within the league, while Park Center, despite some close losses, was still looking for their first conference win of the season. These teams meeting at Park Center. Highlights from this one, Totino-Grace gets out to an early lead, top of the 1st inning. Charlie Waters singles over short and into center field. Kyle Halverson comes in to score, and it's 1-0. The Eagles would add another run, and they go up 2-0 after 1. Still 2-0 in the 4th when Joey Linders bounces a single to center field. Will Rogg scores, and it's 3-0 Grace. Linders with 2 hits in the game. Bottom of the 4th, the Pirates get on the board. Riley Peterson comes through with a single to left field. Matt Sforey and Keller Tollison score, and it's a 3-2 game. Mark Centered score another run on a groundout, tying the game at 3. Sixth inning, Noah Nielsen comes up with a big 2-out hit for Totino. He delivers this hit to left. Justin Mraz and Dylan Dubuque both score on Nielsen's 2-run single to put the Eagles back in front, 5-3. Pirates respond in the home half of the 6th. Peterson drills the ball to the gap in left center, gets all the way to the fence. Mitchell Knox scores, but a good relay throw from shortstop Halverson to Linders at third gets Peterson trying to stretch his hit into a triple. Jack Kraler pitches 3 innings of relief to get the win for Totino-Grace, and they edge Park Center 5-4 Eagles the final. Also in the conference, Maple Grove squeezed out a 5-4 8-inning win over Armstrong on Tuesday. The Crimson are one of 5 teams in a log jam at or near the top of the conference standings, along with Champlin Park, Blaine, Anoka, and Centennial. Section playoffs are underway in boys tennis. Many Class A teams began play Tuesday, while several local Class 2A schools are scheduled to start either today or tomorrow. Wayzata is the top seed in Section 5 AA. The Trojans are the defending section champions and beat second-seeded Maple Grove 7-0 in regular season play on Tuesday. Armstrong is the 3rd seed, and like Wayzata and Maple Grove also earned a first-round bye. Among the other local schools, Totino-Grace, Rogers, Park Center, Osseo are all seeded between 6th and 11th. Some teams are already playing today, Wednesday, but rain will certainly change the schedule over the next couple of days. The Section 5 AA final is set for next Tuesday at Park Center High School. In Section 6 AA, Edina is the top seed, Benilde St. Margaret's is 4th, and Hopkins 6th. And that is all for sports. Mike and Alex, back to you.
Great, John. Thank you. Up next, more arrests than usual today in Crystal.
Why these people didn't seem bothered about getting booked when we come back.
Finally, a good-natured visit to the Gray Bar Hotel in Crystal.
You have the right to have an attorney present now and during any part of this bail hearing, but please do see that I have a mallet and I know how to use it.
Yep, book 'em Dano. This is the day where money talks to sway Pat Bedell, playing the role of Crystal bail judge. Realtor Jeff Munson found that out the hard way. He was charged with running for city council against incumbent Julie Deschler.
It's a really fun fundraiser, something that we can, be goofy and still do it for a good cause, and everybody's such a good sport about it.
The annual version of Getting Booked raises money for the Crystal Crime Prevention Board, which pays for things like the Crystal Police K-9 unit and the prescription drug disposal bags. Always have a good time over there.
They have a lot of fun with that. That's great.
That does it for us. Thanks for joining us.
See you back here again Thursday.